words, we're going to light a candle for John. There's enough candles there, and we have some more that we should have enough for everybody to light a candle if you want to. And all we ask you to come up and say something. If you don't want to say anything, still light the candle. We'll start with Paul here. Light the first candle, say the first few words.
Well, John is kind of a flamboyant guy. He didn't care. He really lived it. And gosh, he really went out the same way. To leave this place from Telluride is some fucking class. Already almost there, so just took the extra step. He left us way too soon, but I really value every interaction I have with him. He put himself out there. He could see when somebody had a need, and he zoned in on them, and he gave comfort. I've seen him do it to little kids, and he did it to me, and I've seen him do it to all kinds of people around him. He just didn't ignore when something was wrong. So I just think he's an awesome guy. I fucking miss him.
Dave, you came a long way to be here. You do it next.
Well, if I had one wish, it would be to bring him back, you know. And he's the best guy in the world. He's not replacing him. That's what I mean. He's genuine, and that's about the best thing I can say about him. I loved him like a brother, and just do what he wants us to do, which is to enjoy the times we had with him and to continue to live life. And that's about all I can say. I loved him. I wish we could have him back. Don't do it next to the fire.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to matter.
There you go.
Right. Josh?
John for many, many years, playing music, just hanging out. One of the people who was there at the end when I wrote this hospital. I'm out of tears, there's nothing left. Silence falls, we're gone. No more huge drinks, no more plug strings. Paul and Silas sing high. Resounding voice shall sound no more. Closed door, lonely cry. It's love, my friend. Float fast. Fly free to find the music. No more John joins the group.
John's pulling him out because he was on fire. He don't want to put cannons, broken flames again.
I knew John for about 10 years, and I think one of the first times I met John, he'd been out in Colorado probably about 3 months or so, and we connected, and I had been out here a lot longer than him, and we got together, we were going to go to a show, like a local show around Boulder, and I was like, I'd been out in Colorado, so straight to a few people, you know, and it's just, you know, let you kind of know what's going on around the city and everything. So I walk in with John, it's like I'm walking in with the Pope. It's like everybody's like, John, John. And I'm like, who is this guy? He's like, you've been in Colorado 3 months. I've been in Colorado like 7 years before. And it's like, it's like I'm walking in with the Pope. But, you know, I realized that, you know, John has extensive knowledge of music, but then the more I got to know him, I knew that it wasn't just about the music, it was about the type of person that he was, and how big his heart was. And when he was with you and you were out, he'd say, hey, listen, I want you to meet my friend Josh, I want you to meet Jessica. He always made a point to introduce everybody, to make everybody feel welcome. It just, it's, yeah, I mean, I just remember that because everybody knew John. And I call him Brother John, and I loved him like a brother, and he'd be very happy to see us here. And miss you, John, and love you like a brother, and we'll never forget you. So,
Sure. I've known John since 1988. We both grew up in Rochester, New York area together. And John, we know now, is the same John I knew when I first met him. Largely know his personality. We became closer friends after we moved out here, quite honestly. I see him more frequently back in those days when I was out at Grateful Dead shows. I don't care whether, you know, by the end they were playing huge stadiums. It didn't matter. You run into John every time. You're out at a Grateful Dead show and you say, hey, you give you a huge bug. So you were out. And I didn't even know he was moving out here. The first time I ran into him was just up the road, right out in front of me. So I remember it like it was yesterday. Him just come down the road, hey, Spinelli, John, right, you know, that was back when I used to camp right there. And got the first bear hug I had received from John in 3 or 4 years at that point, and picked things up, you know, started going shows together. Anyway, like Nick was saying, he was so good about helping people meet each other and making a community. It's probably hardly one person here that I would know. If I hadn't been for John, I probably wouldn't have done any of that. Obviously, very much people. So we miss him while we love him.
I'd like to say something. I've known John about 8 years. He came here as a customer. He was only a customer for a very short moment. He became my friend. He always gave me encouragement. I remember I got him a shirt on his birthday that said Columbine Lodge Security. He told me he was here to make us feel secure. So he touched my heart in a very special way. He's a unique and special individual. I love you, John.
Andy?
I first met John probably around 2000 when I was living in Washington. I flew back to Massachusetts for some further shows, and Dave and John were there. That's when I first met John. And then I ended up moving back to Mass in 2001 and moved in with Dave and John. That's when I really first got to bond with John. And then in 2003 I moved back to Washington and he moved here. And in that time I still kept in contact with him. Then in 2010 I lost my job in Washington and I didn't know really what to do. And I knew John was in Colorado. So I called him up and said, hey bud, let's, can I move there and move in with you? And he was just opened his arms and welcomed me in here. And if it wasn't for him, I would not be here right now. I wouldn't know anybody here except Dave and Seth, basically. It wasn't for John. And it's going to be hard going on without him, but his spirit will always live on. And amen to you, John.
Jerry, you doing good?
I met John, I can't quite remember. Al will say it was through. They find John at Racking House, and that sounds about right. I can tell you a funny story. My first time going to a show with John, it was me, John, Dee, and a guy from New York whose name I cannot remember who saved my life. We were on the way out. We actually was for Willie Nelson, and I was wearing my Dennis Kucinich shirt. That's another story. But we get to the thing. We want to park on top. The dude at the gate was trying to wave us into the lower lot. John goes, "Whoa."
Oh my God.
And then we get stopped there. And we're going, "Holy shit." And then we got the idea, John, apologies. And so they did this official thing up the street, going to the local John. So John apologized. And we got to park at the top. And over the years, we've had a lot of adventures. John loved us all. We all love John, and since we all love John, we will have this bond forever, and he will live in our hearts. That's all I got.
And I want to thank Joey for all she did for John during that time. She deserves a lot of thanks.
My bad.
She did a lot.
Yeah, we all appreciate that,
We
Joey.
had a lot of it, a lot. That's the point. John genuinely was great.
Anybody else have anything?
I'll say something. Oh, you want to go? Go ahead.
John, to know you is truly to love you. I'm honored that I got to be your friend for a short time on this earth. Keep the gates open, brother. Keep the banjo picking. And we'll see you soon. I love you.
Happy birthday to John.
Happy birthday, John.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 4 months.
Listen.
So I also met John when Bethany Lodge took over the Combine Lodge back in 2007. Lance and they had already been coming up here before we took over. But like Beck said, we met him, we were friends for life. And we just had the biggest heart anybody could have. And we sure knew how to camp. Him and Lance and Nathan and Andy and everybody, they really know how to camp. And they always fed us. We didn't come down here to eat with them or anything, but they always would have a plate for us, and they kept on feeding us. No, eat more, eat more. And then we came out of the campground and got to listen to John pick the banjo, and wow, what a banjo player he was, and still is. And we got to play together, and I was honored enough to be able to listen to those guys back in September. And John, Roger was even like, I can't keep up with you, John. And John's like, oh, come on, Rod, you can do this fine. You'll do this fine. And he sure did. I'm just very honored to have been able to get to know him for the 8 years that he came here. Five times a year we get to see him, and thank God that Lance is going to continue the tradition of coming up here, because Combine wouldn't be the same without you guys. You are definitely part of the family, and I'm just honored to have gotten to know John. Love him dearly. The Lord has a wonderful angel soul in it. So do we now. God bless you, John. Definitely love you. Love you too.
Steve, I'll say something. I met John about 10 years ago at Telluride. I was down there, and I met him, and, you know, he was camping pretty close to us and stuff, so, of course, within, I don't know, probably 30 seconds, you know, he's the best friend you've ever had in your life, right? So then later on, you know, we were up at Rocky Grass, and we were sleeping out in that stupid line, you know, whatever it is, and I said, well, you know, we gotta get one of those blankets down front, John. He goes, believe me, I know. He goes, he's kind of a bigger guy, John, like me bigger. And he goes, I said, you know, man, I'll tell you something, I can run pretty goddamn fast. I said, I run away from a lot of shit, and I used to have a getaway car. So I know how to fucking move. He said, okay, so well, I'll tell you what, then here, you take the blanket and you run. I said, I will. I said, another thing, John, I said, people get out of my way. So I ran like crazy. Dodging kids and toys, and I got the blanket down, and then John came along, and he was the anchor for the whole weekend. Like, he was always there. He was like keeping it there. We'd go on the river. You know, we'd eat some food and everything, drink a lot of beer. You know, I had a lot of fun with John. You know, just recently I've spent a lot of time with John. I was very lucky. I was so lucky to meet Jerry. I mean, I knew Lance, Seth I met, you know, a guy that he's known forever. And I think the thing that I can tell you is the last time somebody's spread smash as a banjo player is a friend of mine named Mark Van. And I know that that happened up at the Rocky Grass facility. And I know that John was a big fan of him. Well, now I know why John's gone. You see, because the good people get called. We only get to borrow them for a while. It's only the mean old bastards that would be, you know, 80 So John is up there. You got to remember this. Now think about this. He's got that blanket. You see? He's got that blanket in front of the stage. And I can tell you, when we get there, we're going to have a seat. Because John is going to be there. He's going to be reserving. He's reserved. Now, he's got, you know, security to deal with. They're saying, we don't want these people in here. Okay, they didn't pay for, you know, the ticket or whatever. It's not going to matter. Because John's going to be there waiting for us. And I know in my mind, now, I know, I didn't used to think about heaven. Even my dad died, everybody I loved, lots of people I know have died. Now I really believe there's a heaven. Now that this person's gone, because I feel like I'm in touch with you right now. You know what I mean? And he's telling us, you know, everything's going to be okay. The last thing I'll say about John is, I have never in my lifetime, I've known a lot of characters, a lot of people, and I've traveled, I've been in Gypsy, lived in a bus, been all over the country. I have never in my lifetime, ever, met anybody that had more real friends. I don't mean to equate, just say, hey, you don't know the guy's name, and somebody else comes to introduce you, it's like, make sure you introduce yourself because I don't know your name. I mean, like, John knew everyone's name, and every person was his best friend. Like, do you understand, like, how can you live a life like that? Can we ever do it? Let's try. You know, and God bless you, John, I love you. I can't wait to get another one of your hugs. I miss you. I miss you. I miss you. Lots of love.
Best hugs in the world, John. Done.
Anybody else like to go?
You should talk about it. Yeah, I'll go.
So I guess I probably met John probably about 10 weeks before the incident when we went to the show with John, and I think I was standing in front of the Fox or the Boulder Theater, I can't remember which. There was this guy, and he was kind of standing a little bit on the off, and people were coming up, probably some of you buying stuff from me, and thanks, I appreciate your support over all the years. But this guy was standing a little off, and he was looking at me a little quizzically, and finally my little crowd thinned out, and he came over and he says, I've been to 3 shows. I've lived here 2 weeks. And I've seen you at every one of the 3 shows that I've been to. I don't know what you're doing, but I wanted to come over and introduce myself to you. My name is John Wood. And I shook his hand, and I told him what I was doing, and he bought something from me. And that was the first time I got a big, awesome hug from John Wood. And we were friends from that time on. And he was like this other selling, he would ask, have you had something to eat? Do you need some water? Are you okay? How are you doing? And there are a lot of people who have bought a lot of stuff from me over the years, but not a lot of people who made sure that I had dinner, who really cared how I was doing. And when I dropped off of this scene and went to try to do something else, John followed what I did, and he really stayed in touch with what I was doing. I felt like he really supported what I was doing. And it meant a lot to me, because we had come a long way together. It was awesome for me to watch a guy who came here, didn't really know too many people, made friends with everybody. He pursued a really difficult passion to learn a challenging instrument as an adult, and he mastered it, and he really made it his own. That's the kind of person that I saw John as, somebody who saw no obstacle that he couldn't surmount, including a fucking banjo. Yeah, and you know, that was something that always impressed me about him, that he didn't want to just be a fan, he wanted to participate, he wanted to give to everybody that he met in every possible way. And I'm just glad that I got to meet him and be one of the first people to welcome him to Colorado.
All I have to say is very simply, it's been a blessing that John has come into my life, and I'll be forever better because of it. That's all I have to say.
As all of us are. Yep. We're all better people for knowing John.
I met John at Rocky Grass, as Jerry was saying, about 9-10 years ago, and just walking in, and like I said, anybody who met John, you instantly became his best friend. So I lobbied Jerry, we need to get this guy in our camp group for Telluride. So it took a couple of years, but we finally joined. The one thing with having John in your camp group, you needed to buy a bunch of new camp chairs. John was really hard on camp chairs, but it was well worth it. I don't know how many camp chairs we went through, but quite a few. But it was like, I'm really glad we had him. I was really glad to spend John's last week on Earth with him and Telluride. He was always a pleasure to be with. Every morning he got up, you knew John was going to get up and be smiling and just ready to have a good day. And so one always felt good being around John. And he said Sunday was hard packing his stuff up and bringing his banjo back to Lance. But he said just really glad he could spend his last week on Earth with him. I know, I told him earlier that night that I thought that was, I went to Telluride 27 years in a row. This was my favorite one. And John agreed. I'm really glad I did that.
Right on.
Glad you're there.
Do you have his banjo?
No. Maybe you was a better person.
I have no idea exactly when I met John. Part of that is due to a shared kind of experience where it seems like a week into having met him, you kind of forgot that you didn't only meet him a week ago. The other thing with me, I get a little bit of an advantage because I'm kind of from the same geographical area that John is, just in a different country. And one thing, whenever I hear people talk about the shows in Hamilton, Ontario in 1990, I remember myself, one of those nights, there was like a really bad snowstorm or really bad weather or something. I'm very happy that I didn't hit any of those hippies that were downtown driving past the arena. Because probably one of them was John. One of them could have been anybody else here. One of them was Andy. It went without a shadow of Andy. But there was kind of a shared sense of experience, stuff that you've grown up with, even though This guy lived like 120 miles away from me. We're still coming points of reference. There's the music reference. So I'm going to toot my own horn here. A lot of people think I know a lot about music. I used to toot my own horn up until about 1 month after I met John Wood. Anybody I meet, they say, holy shit, you know a lot about music. It's like,
Not really.
this guy I know who knows 3 times as much about music as I do, his name is John Wood. And that's one of the things I think I'll cherish the most about John is sharing music with him, benefiting from, I'll paraphrase this phrase they used for a band leader in the 40s, but the John Wood College of Musical Knowledge. Yeah, it's almost infinite. Because not only did he know stuff, he actively tried to learn more stuff and find out new things, like Jessica said about the banjo.
That's
It's
amazing.
like, holy crap. I think I remember when he said, oh, I got a banjo, I'm gonna work on playing it. And then like a year later, oh, look, I'm in a band.
I remember saying that, yeah.
I started playing banjo a year. I'm in a band now. We're playing in the basement. Oscar Blues come up to watch. And I saw it. It was fantastic. And then one other thing, and I'm glad I was an idiot with an iPhone at the time. When they had the, I haven't heard John play in a while for various reasons. When they had the flood benefit,
He's amazing.
at Fox Theater,
That's
that picture right there.
with Andy Thorne. He kept up.
I've got about 25 crappy iPhone versions of that same thing. You know, with a lot of warring faces and stuff, right? They're playing, they're loud. But I haven't heard him play in a while. Number one, he knew he was going to be there for the benefit. Number two, kind of knew by that point he was going to be out on stage playing a tune. I'm going to see him play this fucking ass off. He was one of the first people I asked. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
he did.
fantastic.
I have that on that
He
video.
had to be there.
With Crap Crap. I have that video with him and Andy.
So he's going to live on visually in the photos I have. He's going to live on in my brain relative to certain things that I'll hear. You know, I can't remember. Nick might be able to help me a little bit later, but I'm trying to remember the grandiose title he used to say, all the adjectives he used to use when he described government mule.
Oh, man.
All
The
powerful, all encompassing.
power of the mighty government mule.
Exactly. That was John. Warren Haynes, the latest John. And I'm going to miss him, but thankfully he's going to live on because any kind of music I hear, you know, except maybe Norwegian Carpenter songs, but he knows probably.
Probably knows. Yeah.
John would know about it, and he's going to be there.
Awesome. Yeah, that's for sure.
Very nice,
Silk.
very nice.
Real silk. What's this?
Yeah, I remember when I first met John. He was just starting to play banjo. Not doing a very good job at it. He's trying to play good music. My friend Lynn said, he said, "You're so tough, man." Yeah, pretty good. Fast forward some time later, I'm up here and seeing the big guy over here. You guys come on. Set up here. He's 18 years old, experiences up here. Outside of this place. Everybody's back here. Yeah, so I'm looking at the drive.
I knew John briefly, a couple of years.
what can you say? He was John. You know, he never offered me anything but peace, friendship. I remember the first time I ran into him down here, he yelled at me from way over there in the campground. And he told me, "Hey, Big John." I walked over there and he said, "We saved you a lobster tail and a cold beer, man."
Oh, man.
So, as I said, I didn't get to know him very long, but I considered him my friend, and it was a privilege to get to know the man.
Yeah.
The least I could do.
I had the honor of backing up on base once, and my short experience was a hell of a musician and a very easy man to play with. So I appreciate that. So thanks for letting me sit in.
There, you can use mine.
So not everybody's obligated to say something. If you want to say something, feel free.
John, his entourage, when we first got this place back in 2007. I've been a guitar player all my life, and when I heard that he played banjo, I was excited. Great, I'm going to go down and see what this guy's got. And I was fucking blown away. So I proceeded to want to tell him that he's so good he should be in the band, and he tells me how he's actually in like 2 different bands. That's how fucking good he is. And I miss him. When we got to know him briefly, I miss him. Never be the same here. Thank God we touched the lives of everyone here. Particularly the people here at the Columbine against the black. And when he called the brother, it was heartfelt. I'll miss him forever. Bless your heart, John. Very, very right.
No, I think John's blowing him out just to be funny.
Well, it's his birthday. He's got to blow the cap up.
Yeah, exactly. He was definitely our comedian up at Columbine Lodge.
So, John had a photographic musical memory. He could call any dance show that he had been at within 3 notes of a song. He would say, second set opener, Albany, you know. Yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah, with that good Chinatown. It was amazing. And he had a way of, and I think we were all talking about what do you do for a day, or what are your good years, of making you feel like you was the best friend. And when you were with him, you were the only one, no matter how big the crowd, it was just you and him. And so I think, when I think of him and the lessons that he taught us, I think he would want us to live in joy and to be present, to always say what we think, and to most of all live in God. So we live on
Is there anybody that wants to speak and didn't get a chance to speak yet?
I first met John before a show. I feel 5 minutes. We got into an argument with someone who I lost that argument.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Because of him, I took up vaping so I could He knew what I was. He already knew what I was. 15 years later, he asked me if he was called out. I thought that was really good. I said, I would do that in a minute if it was me. And a year later, I had to live up to that. I'm glad we did. Because somewhere he's gone.
Anybody else? All right. Let's have everybody gather around and. So I want everybody here as we join together and we're realize that there's one person missing from this circle. And when that happens, the circle gets tighter. And I see everybody around here, I see friends. And one thing that John's taught us is to be there for each other. So I want us all to be there for each other. You're in the circle, you're part of John's inner circle. And that means everything to me. If any of you guys ever need anything, let me know. And I've asked Jerry to say a little prayer here.
Let us stay embraced and let us join in the spirit of contemplation. We all have many backgrounds, paths, traditions that we came from. But there are some things that unite us. A lot of us are united because we love music. I noticed you want to talk about football last night. But we're really united in is love. Love for John, love for each other. Let us take that love that we have, carried in our hearts, carry John in our hearts, and take it out to the world and spread the love in that which is greater than the sum of its parts.
Amen.
Excellent. Excellent. This is very love.
The last thing we're going to do here, last of many things I guess, but this will conclude these, is we're going to make a line down to the Pupper's Rock where we used to go spend a lot of time hanging out on. And what we'd like to do is make a line all the way down to the end of that rock, and we're going to hand the ashes from one person to another. Each one of you will have the opportunity to hold John, say anything in your last words to John. When you hand the ashes to the next person, say, I hand you the ashes of John Wood. And as a receiver, you say, I accept those ashes. You have an opportunity to hold them in silence, say what you want to say. Make sure when you hand it to the next person, you say that.
We'll see us.